A group of teenagers set off into the woods for a camping trip. As the sun began to set, the friends found themselves caught in the dense forest, lost and disoriented. They decided to take a shortcut through the woods, not realizing the grim fate awaiting them. Just as they prepared to set up camp for the night, they stumbled upon an old village seemingly built in medieval times. As they approached, the villagers welcomed them with open arms, offering them food and drink. However, something felt off. As the night progressed, the villagers revealed their true intentions. They believed that their village was cursed with a deadly disease that could only be cured by human sacrifice. The friends tried to flee, but it was too late. The villagers overpowered them, and one by one, the friends were taken to the sacrifice table and slaughtered like animals. The villagers danced and chanted as the friends' screams echoed through the night. By the time the sun rose, no one remained in the village, except for the bloodthirsty villagers, a gruesome reminder of the horror that had occurred. The forest remained ominously quiet for years to come, as if mourning the loss of the young lives taken by the cursed village. The tragedy became a cautionary tale for those who dared wander into the unknown forests, reminding them that sometimes there are no survivors. Deep in the ocean, the waters were dark and murky. A deep-sea diver by the name of Jack ventured out on his own to explore the depths of the ocean. As he descended deeper and deeper, the temperature began to drop and the pressure increased. But Jack was determined to uncover the mysteries that lay hidden beneath the waves. As Jack made his way deeper into the abyss, he began to feel like he was being watched. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was something lurking in the darkness, watching his every move. He tried to push the thought out of his mind and focus on his mission, but he couldn't get the feeling out of his head. Suddenly, Jack heard a loud noise coming from behind him. He turned around but couldn't see anything. He quickly scanned his surroundings but found nothing unusual. But Jack knew something wasn't right. There was a sense of danger looming all around him. Suddenly, he found himself face to face with an enormous, unseen creature. Its eyes glowed red and flames sparked in its breath. Jack was petrified as the creature lunged at him. He tried to swim away as fast as he could, but the creature was too fast. It chased him through the water with incredible speed, hunting him down mercilessly. Jack could feel the creature's hot breath on his neck, and its sharp claws almost grabbing onto him. Though Jack tried to escape, the creature relentlessly pursued him until he was finally cornered. In that moment of surrender, Jack could see the giant creature close up, and then everything went dark. The next thing Jack remembered was waking up on the deck of a rescue ship. He couldn't believe he had survived the encounter with the creature. From that day on, he chose never to venture alone into the abyss of the ocean, knowing that there were unseen terrors lurking in the depths. Katie had always been haunted by the memories of an evil doll that had terrorized her when she was just a child. She had thought she had left the horror and fear of that trauma behind her years ago. However, when her daughter Amelia turned 6, strange things began to happen, and Katie could sense a familiar malevolent presence around them. Katie knew the doll had returned and was after her daughter, and it seemed to want revenge on her for having escaped its clutches before. She was determined to protect her daughter, but the doll was too powerful, and despite her efforts, it was able to get to her husband, who had gone to investigate the strange occurrences in their house. When Katie found her husband lying lifeless on the floor, she knew that she had to do something to stop the doll before it harmed her daughter. She refused to let the doll destroy her family and decided to confront it head-on. She gathered all the strength she had left and devised a plan. She and Amelia set up a trap for the doll, and when the doll fell into it, they lit a fire, knowing that it was the only way they could destroy its evil presence once and for all. As they watched the doll burn, they could feel the weight of the evil dissipating into nothingness. The flames grew higher as they consumed the doll, and for a moment, Katie felt as if she were burning away all the fear and hurt that she had carried for so long. Finally, the fire died down, and Katie and Amelia were left surrounded by the ruins of their home. Everything they had ever known was gone, but they had each other, and that was all that mattered. As they walked away, holding hands, Katie knew that she had overcome the horrors of the past, and had done everything in her power to protect her daughter. She knew that the memory of the doll would always be with her, but she hoped that one day she would be able to let go of her fears and the memories of that terrifying time. Emily was excited to start her new job as a night shift nurse at a long-term care facility. But as the sun set and the night began, things started to take a turn for the worse. Emily's coworkers seemed nervous, and Emily felt a growing sense of unease as the residents started to become more and more erratic. They began to get out of their wheelchairs and drop their canes, staring at Emily with blank expressions that made her blood run cold. The situation escalated quickly when the residents went on the attack, lunging and clawing at Emily as she tried to flee to safety. She sprinted down the narrow corridors, looking for a place to hide, and finally found refuge inside a broom closet. Emily huddled in the closet, her heart racing as she listened to the sound of the residents' frenzied howls outside. She stayed there, trapped in the small, dark space, until daylight finally broke, and her coworkers arrived for their shift. Shaken and frightened, Emily emerged from the closet, surrounded by her relieved coworkers. But when she stepped outside, she found that the residents were back to their normal selves, as though nothing had happened. Emily's coworkers brushed off her account of the terrifying attack, chalking it up to exhaustion and fear. But Emily knew in her heart that something far more sinister had taken place that night, something that she would never be able to forget. Once upon a time, a private chef named Anthony received a call from an anonymous client, inviting him to cook for a private dinner party. Excited about the prospect of having such a high-profile client, Anthony immediately accepted the offer. He arrived at a grand mansion, where he was greeted by the host, a charming and elegant woman, who introduced herself as Lady Drusilla. Anthony was escorted into the kitchen, and he was surprised to find it well-equipped with all the necessary ingredients and appliances he needed. As Anthony was preparing the food, he couldn't help but notice that Lady Drusilla and her guests were acting a little strange. They all had a certain hunger in their eyes, and they kept looking at Anthony like he was a piece of meat. However, he merely assumed it was just the nerves of meeting a new client. It wasn't until he was serving the entree that Anthony realized something was off. The meat he prepared, which he believed was beef, had a peculiar taste and texture that he couldn't put his finger on. It was then that he noticed a sinister detail. The guests were all biting into the meat with their sharp fangs. Anthony was shocked to realize that the very beings he was cooking for were vampires, and they were eating human flesh. He realized it was foolish to stay and cook for them, so he tried to make a quick exit. But Lady Drusilla, with her superhuman speed, stopped him before he could get far. She then explained that she invited him because she wanted to taste a chef's food, not to eat him. Lady Drusilla calmed Anthony down and told him that she appreciated his skills as a chef and that he didn't need to fear them. Despite his fears, Anthony decided to finish the dinner party, and their food was genuinely delicious, with Anthony having no prior experience cooking human flesh. Lady Drusilla applauded Anthony's skills and paid him generously, thanking him for his services. He left the mansion relieved to have escaped unscathed, although the memory of the experience would stay with him forever. Despite knowing their gruesome secret, Anthony couldn't resist the allure of Lady Drusilla's charm and the challenge of cooking for such unique palates. He continued to cook for her and her friends, and over time, he became more comfortable with their vampire lifestyle. Eventually, he was even invited to join them as a guest, a dangerous invitation, but one that he couldn't resist.